Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
Anyway, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. I was just thanking, anyway. I just, look, I mean, Putin's kleptocracy, yeah. It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February. He said, it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it.
I don't know what the hell happens with these people, man. I don't know if Mika Brzezinski just is like some sort of super honey trap. Like, she must have the good stuff, because I don't know what happened to Joe Scarborough. I mean, this guy, he's had a pretty interesting life. He went from, not a lot of people remember this or know this. He went from rising star Republican congressman to the most shameful Democrat shill on TV. I mean, not even KJP herself would insult your intelligence that egregiously. He says, the best Biden ever. The only thing, the one thing that has improved about Joe Biden in his 50 years of government service is his net worth. I mean, that is it. That is the only measurable improvement that that guy has made. And honestly, I don't know who watches MSNBC. And more than that, I don't know who takes it seriously. But guys, how frightening is that thought? There are people that watch MSNBC and they actually use what they learn there to form what they imagine, I think, are their own opinions. I mean, we are freaking doomed when you think about it like that. There's nothing redeeming here, man. These people are pushing propaganda, and now they're blatantly lying to the victims that they call viewers because they can't honestly believe what is actually happening. They cannot imagine that it's possible that Joe Biden's incompetence, which they are responsible for, is actually destroying not just the country, man, but it is destroying the country, but it's also destroying their own hope for power. And here's one thing I truly don't fully understand. I don't know why they all feel so invested in keeping that power. I really don't understand it. You know, I think to a lot of them, it must just be some sort of game, you know, but they just want their guy to win, even if it costs literally everything. And this is just one of the many things that's got them so terrified. I mean, this is what they're having an impossible time covering up.
So the numbers he's posting in general election polling against Biden right now are absolutely consistent with what he's got among Republicans in past elections. So again, if you're looking at the primaries and saying, boy, there's all evidence here of Republicans turning on Trump, unwilling to vote for Trump in the fall, you're not seeing it in the general election polling in these Trump numbers. And then you take a look at one final thing here. This is from the New York Times Siena poll. They looked at it this way. They asked respondents in their poll, who did you vote for in 2020, and are you still with that candidate now? 97% of folks who said they voted for Trump in 2020 say in this poll they're still with Trump, but only 85% of Joe Biden's 2020 voters say they're with him. So again, I think if you're the Trump campaign, you look at a finding like this and say, maybe there's some slack on the Republican side, they're probably thinking, but not a ton. And meanwhile, it's Biden who has the slack. And the reason Trump is leading in these polls right now over Biden, and their polls, they can change and they can be wrong, and all of the disclaimers we can put on it. But I think the Trump campaign would look at this and say they're picking off Biden voters right now more than Biden is picking off Trump voters.
Yeah, I mean, they're shocked. I don't know why they're shocked, but they're shocked. A measurable number of people are planning not to support Joe Biden for a second time. And why would they, man? I mean, more or less, he actually promised them that he would not run a second time. He told them that his goal was to be a transitional president, meaning I think he meant, I think he was acknowledging that he was going to be way past the due date for a second term. And he was trying to calm the nerves of the people who thought he was probably too old for the first one. But then he chose a vice president by using DEI, and that backfired in the most extreme possible way. No one wants her. No one likes her. Her own people don't want anything to do with her. And now on top of that, his brain does not work anymore. And people see it. And more than just see it, we understand it. He's 81 years old. It's just normal for an 81-year-old guy to behave and decline like he is. But still, MSNBC and dozens of others like him, they think that their gaslight power is stronger than what people actually see with their own eyes, man. And it's amazing when you think about it. But I got to ask, which is it? What do they really believe? Is Joe Biden the best he's ever been? And Robert Hirsch should actually charge him with the crimes that he's alleged in his report? Or is he a cognitive mess who would never, ever be convicted by a reasonable jury because they would see his decline? These things cannot coexist. These are not of the same mindset, right? These kinds of things, these are the questions that are never, ever really answered by any of these people. And they're just bluffing their way through it. And I think their best bluff yet is a lot of people in the mainstream liberal media are demanding that Joe Biden debate Donald Trump, which obviously if he's going to run for president, he needs to. But even more obvious than that, if he does, it will be an absolute disaster. But these people seem to believe, actually, they're doing a really good job pretending to believe that he could do it.
Talk about the Trump and Biden comparison. I just want to keep everybody on the apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
You read that New Yorker article. There's never a moment where Joe Biden says, he's running against George W. Bush.
Right.
Or running against, it's like the president, Trump almost every day, literally almost every day forgets that he's running against Biden versus Obama. Almost every day, you see some video where Trump makes that mistake. And Biden, who's supposedly the senile one, you never see that happen. And again, is Joe Biden the perfect candidate? Look, we all acknowledge he's not.
Does this guy actually believe that you never see Biden making mistakes or mishaps? Just ask. How's the flow of aid going between the president of Mexico and the fictional nation of Palestine? How's that working out? These are not serious people, man. These are the same people, by the way, that told you that Donald Trump thinks he's married to Mercedes Schlapp. And as for the Obama thing, we don't know if Obama is running the show. Obviously, we don't know that. But I think most reasonable people are pretty convinced that whoever's running the show, it can't be Joe Biden. So who is Trump running against? I think that's a pretty fair question to ask, actually. And I'm going to keep going, guys. But if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. This is going to be a very, very difficult year to get conservative voices heard, and I need your help to do it. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share the channel. It really, really does mean a lot.
But it is the case. He has the presence of mind to know who he's running against. And that's a good apples-to-apples comparison.
And not only that, he knows who the Speaker of the House is.
And a lot of other things.
He doesn't go, Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikki. Nikki Haley. He doesn't do that. And I will tell you something else. Apples to apples, and I'm dead serious. It's a damn shame that Donald Trump won't submit to this because he's such a coward when it comes to politics. But it would be great to have Joe Biden right there, Donald Trump right there, around any table, and say there's no shouting, there's no this, there's no insults. We're going to ask you about policy, and actually have them talk about, because Joe Biden, like I said, can take you around the world 100 times. You ask him what's happening in Sudan. He's going to take you through it and what the United States should do, what his administration's doing. You ask him about what's happening in Ukraine. He's going to give you about 5 different angles looking at it. I'm serious. Donald Trump, he'll tell you, I would end the war tomorrow. And that's a crazy thing that is so maddening. When it comes to issues, Donald Trump has never known them, Claire. Not like the senators, the Republican senators that said he knows nothing. They say that because he's never made it his business to understand anything. There is no comparison between Donald Trump and Joe Biden when it comes to knowing the facts you need to know to be president of the United States. None.
This might be the very, very first time I think I can remember ever agreeing with Joe Scarborough. And he's absolutely right. There is no comparison between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, truly. And I think the polls are showing it. They're starting to show it more and more and more every time they run a poll. People agree. There is no comparison. I mean, if you just want to break it down to the simple stuff, Trump, no new wars. Biden, not just new wars, but 2 very real possibilities for some sort of spark that could lead to World War III. And that's real stuff. And as I think about it, man, if the litmus test is knowing foreign policy, then can someone please explain to me why is it that the foreign policy experts are always the ones who believe that they can navigate us through wars in places that most of their voters can't even find on a map? I don't think that we can rely on these people for an answer on that. These people in the media, they're the same people who believe that Joe Biden is sharp enough to beat Donald Trump in a debate, which I think honestly, they're only saying that because they know that it's not going to happen. Because really, when you listen to their words, they aren't saying that he should debate Donald Trump. They're actually saying if he were to debate Donald Trump, he would win, right? I think there's zero chance that they allow Donald Trump and Joe Biden to debate each other. And I can already tell you what they're going to say. They're going to say that President Biden will not be a party to platforming the lies of a dangerous insurrectionist or something like that. But that's essentially what they're going to tell you. But people see it coming already. A lot of us see it coming. And people that can, they're already laying the groundwork to defeat probably the laziest of liberal gaslighting in history.
Wait for the 2024 presidential election.
I'm not asking what argument he is going to make at a debate. I'm just asking.
We're not talking about arguments. You're talking about his attendance.
You
need
get a
to
lot
talk
of
to the
questions in
campaign.
here about these polls concerning the president's age and his acuity. Do you think that it is going to quiet concerns about the president's age and acuity if he decides not to debate?
What I can say about that is not talking about the debate. That's something for the campaign to speak to. Not going to speak about that. To your question about age, I think I sort of answered that. I mean, you're going to see the State of the Union tomorrow. You're going to hear the president lay out his plans. You're going to hear a president who has had a successful 3 years of progress. Still a lot more work to be done, but a progress nonetheless, and how he's going to build on that. Bless you. Did you say something? Well, some fun here on Wednesday afternoon, but he wouldn't have been able to get. It's all seriousness. You saw the graphics behind me. You saw what the president has been able to do. 14.8 million jobs, unemployment under 4%, continuing to find ways to lower costs. We saw that when he made
A few moments later.
This is what the president's been able to do. And guess what? That's because of his experience.
And so just for clarity, it's possible that there will be no Joe Biden, Donald Trump debates.
Is that what you're excited about? Is that what you want to see?
Because
you keep asking me. You've asked me about 3, 4, 5 different times in different ways, I've said.
What would President Biden do in a debate? I'm not asking a question about a specific debate. I'm just asking how would he do in a debate? I know it's been 4 years since he's done.
You literally saw just last year, back in January 2023, at the last State of the Union, take on Republicans during giving a major speech. He took them on. As they were heckling him, he took them on and said he was going to fight for programs, essentially said he was fighting for programs that the American people needed. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. He stood there and fought for the American people. I mean, that was pretty impressive. Some of you all reported on that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Go ahead, Phil, in the back.
Thank you. Victoria Nuland, the third
All right, there. So the press secretary refusing to talk too much about the potential of Joe Biden doing a debate. He is not committed to doing one.
Yeah, there is zero chance that a debate is going to happen between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. There's a couple possibilities, right? One possibility, and I think this is actually what's going to happen. Joe Biden, after he wins the nomination, he's going to invoke his promise that he made to be a transitional president. I think he's going to pardon his son, and I think he's going to announce that after talking with family or whatever, he's not going to seek re-election. That, if he does that, is going to leave the Democrat convention and all the delegates that will already be gathered there to hash out their nominee. And Kamala doesn't stand a chance. They're going to find the nearest straight white male like they always do. And that's what's going to happen. Option 2, if he stays in, like I already said, they're going to refuse to debate a dangerous insurrectionist who's hell-bent on ending democracy as we know it. A real threat to America. The only real question is, if it is option 2, are people going to accept that? I don't think they will. I think it's just going to be a real confirmation in the minds of anyone who's still on the fence, if there is anybody still on the fence, that Joe Biden whether they love the guy or hate the guy, whether they support him or they don't, is just not up to the job of being president of the United States. He's just not. And really, I think in that moment, all those, vote blue no matter who people, they should be upset, not just with themselves, although they should be upset with themselves, but they should be upset with Joe Biden. If he really cared about a Democrat victory, if he really believed that they were fighting, in this existential threat of MAGA extreme Republicans or whatever, if he really believed that, he'd have stepped down months and months ago. But just like Fani Willis in Georgia, if she really cared about the case against Trump, she would have recused herself and she would have saved that case. Instead, these people, they just show their only true motivation is themselves. All they really, really care about is themselves and their own power. But that's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.